This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome to episode 240 of the Level Up Podcast. It's kind of insane to say that. Normally, saying the episode number is not part of the weekly intro, but I was actually just looking back on our podcast calendar and I realized what episode we were on, and I was just honestly surprised. I don't think I realized how many episodes we were into this show. So whether you are joining us for the first time or a longtime podcast listener, we have apparently a huge bank of episodes to go back and listen to. And if you're anything like me, sometimes I like to listen to my favorite episodes of podcasts that I enjoy multiple times. And I always pick up on different things my second or third listens in, especially if it's been a little while. So as we enter this winter season, we're hunkering down. Maybe we're spending more time, reflecting and learning and less time shooting for most of us. Except for those of you in Florida. I'm sorry, leaving you guys out. That may be a great resource for you guys to go and continue to be inspired week after week and continue your learning journey. So this is the fifth episode in our Debrief series that we are doing here in the fall of 2025 on the podcast. And if I'm going to be totally honest, I have been putting off recording this episode all week. We are sitting here on Friday, and this episode is going to go live on Tuesday. So I'm recording this in as close to real time as it gets, just a few days in advance. I'm doing this episode by myself because this week Kelly was on an amazing fam trip in Hawaii, and we will dig into what fam trips are and how that unfolded for her in our final debrief episode in just a few weeks. But today we are going to be kind of honestly approaching this debrief series in a slightly different way. Over the last 4 episodes of the podcast, we've been sharing what almost feels to be like our own hero's journey in the wedding industry, like some of our highest highs as far as what we're capturing. At least for me, I had 2 of my biggest weddings of my career this year, and we debriefed those. We also debriefed Kelly doing some destination work, working with legacy clients. But today, it's honestly going to be a little bit more raw, unfiltered as far as what it looks like to run a business within the wedding industry while balancing things that are going on in your very real life. As much as we all like to focus so much on the branding, portfolio building, Instagram, all of those fun business things, the thing that most people actually don't really touch on is the fact that the other 16 hours in your day, if you're doing this full time, is taken up by personal things. We all have families. We all have dynamics going on. We all have big life events that we are navigating. And so today, that's what we are going to be talking about. I'm going to be totally honest. Kind of a trigger warning. This is going to be a bit of a conversation about grief in real time and loss of a loved one. So if you're not in an emotional place where you want to be listening to something like that, I would recommend hitting pause on this episode and returning at a time where you're okay with listening to that. But I actually think it's really helpful and powerful to listen to other people in the industry who are going through similar struggles as yourself, whether it's something that you've experienced in the past, something you're going through right now, or something is down the road for you in the near future. It can be helpful to hear how other people navigate those times. So that's honestly going to be the topic of today's episode. Before I get into that, because it is Black Friday season, we are approaching Thanksgiving here in just a couple of days. We are all being bombarded with all the amazing Black Friday deals out there. I had to really quickly just plug a few things that we are offering here at the Level Up Co. The first is that everything in our shop, that includes our client experience bundle, our email templates, and our elevated shot list, as well as our pricing mini course and the luxury framework, which is our pre-recorded course. All of those things are 30% off right now through the end of November. This is the only sale we run throughout the year. We only do Black Friday. We don't do sales any other time. So if you've been waiting or honestly just kind of pondering whether or not you want to pick some of those things up, now is when it's going to be the cheapest. We brought back our course that we launched initially in February, and that is the revenue multiplier. So if you are interested in diversifying your revenue as a wedding creative, whether that be through selling digital products, entering the education space and offering coaching or making courses, kind of like how Kelly and I do here at the Level Up Co., or entering the corporate commercial space as a photographer or a filmmaker, this course has everything you need to help get started and build a really profitable additional revenue stream that can aid in your income goals in addition to your wedding revenue, which we really love. Kelly also has a LUT company that is a video preset company called Illume LUTs, and she is doing 40% off the entire site right now. And if you are in the market for a new website or website template and you use Show It, which I use and I've loved for the last 5 years, my brand new company, Buy 5 Design House, is doing 40% off everything right now as well. And you can go to buy5designhouse.com for those amazing sales. That means all of my website templates are under $500 right now, which I think is a steal, especially if you're wanting to breathe new life into your brand in the new year. It's a great opportunity. All these amazing Black Friday deals. I know, so many options, but I just had to give ourselves a little plug before we dive into today because it might feel a little heavy and it would feel a little weird to talk about those things later. So all right, now that that's out of the way, we're going to dive into this debrief series, episode number 5. Let's go. Okay, so as I had kind of mentioned, I had 2 weddings in September. If you are new to the podcast, just scroll back a couple episodes and you'll be able to listen to those. But I had 2 weddings in September that were really, really big and really exciting. During those weddings, my grandma was in the hospital. Now, I feel like I need to paint a little bit of a picture and a backstory. So, my grandma, 92 years old in 2025. I mean, incredible. We would all just be so blessed to make it to that age and honestly, like, have the level of health that she did. She was fully aware of what was happening. Like she was sharp as a tack, like had a full memory intact, like knew everything that was going on in her life. So that was kind of like the status of her at age 92. Of course, as you get older, your body starts to deteriorate. So health complications started to pop up as would be expected when you're approaching that age. Also, caveat. This will all make sense here in a second. Okay. Growing up, my grandma was like a parent to me. My mom worked long hours. My parents were divorced. And so my grandmother played the role in my life where she picked me up from school every single day, took me and my brother to whatever sports practices we had, helped us with homework, started dinner, and was with us essentially from the time school got out at 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night. So we spent lots of time with her. And that was from the time I was in kindergarten all the way up until I moved out because my brother is younger. So she was still playing that role in my household. Fast forward, when I was 20, my dad passed away very unexpectedly. He was actually, I get this question a lot, so I'm just going to say, he died in a whitewater rafting accident, actually. I'm laughing not because it's funny, but because it's so bizarre and straight, like a strange way to go. And so I'm no stranger to like navigating changing dynamics in a family and death. Honestly, I know that's kind of a difficult subject for many, but sitting here at age 33, like I've been through it. I understand how it goes, and I've like kind of adopted my own grieving pattern. Okay, so that's the backstory. Like my relationship with my grandmother was very, very close, and then after my dad died, it even like became more. Like she took the place of my dad. Okay, so fast forward to this year, she is entering a lot of health complications. I'm shooting weddings, calling her on my way home from weddings or on the way from dropping my team off from the airport to check in on her. She's in and out of the hospital. But a week before the wedding that I'm debriefing this week, she had been in the hospital. Like she entered the hospital 1 week before this wedding was to take place. And over the course of that week, her health greatly deteriorated. I'm not going to get into like medical specifics, but I, along with like one of my cousins and my aunts and uncles, we basically spent sun up to sundown at the hospital with her. She had a room full of people. And on the Wednesday before the wedding, the doctors and the family made the decision to put her on hospice care. By Friday, she was completely unresponsive to outside stimulus. And here's kind of where we pick up our story. So On Friday, I'm prepping for my wedding, right? So I'm at the hospital from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I have to say my goodbyes. I have to come home, charge my gear, clean out my car because it had been neglected all week. Like, this week was not entering a wedding day the way I would normally do it. If you've listened to the podcast, you know we kind of have our ritual. Like, we get our nails done, we clean out our car, we take it through the car wash. Like, I have my gear prepped 48 hours in advance, and it's sitting by my front door ready to be loaded in the car the morning of my wedding or the morning that I'm going to begin shooting. Like, I'm usually very on top of it, but this week things got turned on their head. Like, we were essentially like pre-grieving. Like, we knew she was going to pass. And so it was really challenging for my whole family, and it was really hard. This is where the wedding industry is so different from any other industry, because we promise dates out up to a year, 18 months in advance. And this is the case for this wedding. I booked this like a full year in advance. I've known this date was on the calendar for a long time. And so I had to pack up or like charge my gear kind of late at night. And I had made a deal with my family. I had a feeling, just a feeling. And so I had actually like basically told everyone that I have a close relationship, like with one of my uncles, my cousin, my husband, my mom. Like, I said, like, hey, like, if she passes while I'm at this wedding, I don't want to know in real time. Like, there's nothing I can do. I think I would be just like a sad mess. Like, I need whoever wants to, I need them to tell my husband. And then when I get home that night, he can then tell me, right? So I'd already like prepped that. I knew that if I didn't protect this space, my mental space on that wedding day, and if I didn't like pre-advocate for myself, like, I would find out at the least convenient time and I would be a blubbering mess. So I kind of set that boundary for myself ahead of time, which I'm so glad I did. The next morning I had texted some of my family members, like, how's she doing? And it was not looking good. Like, I had this feeling that she was going to pass that day. And so, you guys, if you could see me, like, I didn't even put like any eye, like, I did my face makeup, but I didn't put any eye makeup on. I brought it all with me in the car because I knew I was just going to be crying the whole drive. And I did. It was so sad. Like, I literally just cried. It's what was like an hour and 20-minute drive, and I cried the entire way. Terrible. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. And we didn't know that it would be this close to the end because it took such a sudden turn, like at the very end. If I would have known like 3 or 4 weeks out, I probably, like, if I knew how it was going to go this way, I would have honestly probably tried to build a team where I didn't have to be present. I would have had a phone call with the bride, explain the situation. And she's so, so sweet. Like, I'm not always friends with my clients, but this client, like, we had gone back and forth on Instagram a few times over the course of the year since she had booked me, and I knew she would understand. Sadly, I didn't have that opportunity because things went south so quickly that I wasn't going to be able to build a team. I had a hard time just finding a second shooter for that day. Like, I had to like way look outside my normal pool of shooters. And so there was no way I could build a team. And I do think this is one of those things where the wedding industry, like, sometimes it makes me like question my desire to be involved in the wedding industry because we miss out on these huge milestone moments or on these like tragic events, and it's really, really hard. Okay, so I cried the entire way. I pull myself together, I put my mascara on, I get out, I scout, I unload my gear, I greet my second shooter, we navigate the day. It was fine. I was not like as creatively inspired as I maybe would be for one where I'm not dealing with this, but I feel like that's fair. Given the circumstances. And, my coverage ends at, I think it was like 9:30 that night, 10 o'clock. I don't know. I drive back. It's an hour and 20 minutes. And when I get home, I am told that she passed away around noon that day. So my crying in the car was completely warranted. I knew it was coming. And I'm still here. I'm sorry. It is like one of the biggest regrets of my life to like not be able to be there. Like, I was there so much the week leading up to it, and I know that it doesn't make a difference, like, in the end, like, what would happen, but not being able to be there, like, I don't know. It was really, really hard and sad, and it makes me kind of like angry that things played out the way they did. Like I was honestly really hoping that she would hold on to like the next day. I was prepared to like show up at the hospital like at 12 like midnight to like be there, you know what I mean, if she had made it. So really hard, really sad. um just I don't know. That is like the primary debrief of the day. Like the day went by, like I wasn't clocking things that were happening. Like I was not like, I mean, I had a level of focus, I had a level of artistry that I was bringing to the day and all that stuff, but like I had this in the back of my mind. So it almost feels like I don't remember it, if I'm being totally honest. Um, because I was so like, half of my brain was preoccupied with this. So I feel like the point of this episode, and I'm sorry for getting emotional, and I'm sorry if my emotions triggered any of your emotions, because that's always the worst. But real life is going on beyond weddings. Real life is going on behind our Instagram profiles. Real life is going on behind the emails that we are sending to each other, the way we're showing up at really fun industry events, like whether you are part of Society Privé or going to Engage or like these fun events, like real life is still going on. And it can be so hard to show up on brand in a positive way, in a way that doesn't negatively affect other people, while having these things going on in the background. My bride did not have a single clue I had anything going on with me. I slapped a smile on my face and I acted as completely normal as possible. And I broke down when I was not around people. And I feel like it's easier said than done. So I don't know. I don't really know what the best way to navigate. I feel like I did my best, like given the situation. I don't know what I could have done better. I wish I would have been able to have a third person on the day. Unfortunately, I literally couldn't find any. Like it was hard for me to find a second shooter. I think that would have made my day a little easier. Like I would have less heavy lifting to do, so that my little preoccupied brain could like be free to be elsewhere a little bit more. But that's how it went down. And kind of going back to it, like we're all dealing with things and loss or challenging moments being in the wedding industry where it's supposed to be all sunshine and rainbows. Like it's so weird. I've talked to photographers and filmmakers who are in the middle of going through a divorce, like going to a wedding day where it's people's happiest day ever while you are doing the opposite, while you're getting a divorce. Absolutely challenging. Dealing with death, dealing with, loved ones being hospitalized, even maybe like financial hardship. Like there are so many things, or like your own health complications. Like we've had people in our community who are going through really challenging health times in their own lives. And having to show up in the wedding industry is a very unique challenge to us. And so I think that this is where community is so, so important. Like having people in your corner, having those trusted people in the wedding industry who know what it's like to have to persevere through these challenging times while also appreciating that life is going on and sometimes it's not fun, I think is really, really powerful. And that's where we're trying to build this community with Level Up, and even more so in depth with League, which is our networking community. I think that if you're trying to do this alone, it would absolutely destroy you when times get hard. And being able to lean on each other, be real, be authentic, like vent, have real conversations with people is what is going to allow us to have longevity and success in our businesses in the long run. Because whether we like it or not, if you have not yet faced a hard time in your business, it's going to probably happen at some point. That's just how life is. And being able to talk about it with somebody who can understand where you are, like being able to not just be like, well, I don't, like, we can't call in sick to work. Like every other, like if you work in corporate or like so many other industries, you can call in sick. You can take bereavement days. Like we don't get to do that. And so it's very unique. And I think basically to put a little bow on that thought, like the wedding industry, you need people within the wedding industry that you can lean on and have those conversations with. Kind of digging a little bit deeper into just this concept of like continuing on with business, with weddings in spite of going through challenging times. Like I remember, so my dad passed away when I was 20. I got married when I was 23, and then I started my business when I was 25. So not much time had passed from the time my dad died to me experiencing my own wedding without my dad there, which was its own thing. That was really hard. And then shooting my first wedding, where we all know the father-daughter relationship is a huge role on the wedding day. Like the dad first look, the dad walking down the aisle, the dad first dance, the dad toasts. Like dads are like the father of the bride is a huge role on the wedding day. There's even a movie called The Father of the Bride. And having to kind of like early on in my career, like put on a happy face, even though I'm crying inside because I didn't get that, like with all my bride's dads, like I had kind of gone through that before. And I know that that's probably the same for a lot of you listening. Like we have lost loved ones, like whether it's your mom or your dad or your brother, and all these family members play a big role in the wedding day. Like that's its own like thing to navigate. So my heart just goes out to you if you are dealing with something like that. You just need someone in your corner where you can talk about it with, who can understand the wedding industry. We had an episode maybe about 2 years ago with Charlie Hilbrand, who is a wedding filmmaker based in Chicago, and he shares a similarly emotional story about his sister and what the loss of his sister and like the wedding industry. And I would highly recommend scrolling back through the archives of the podcast and finding that one, because the three of us, Kelly, myself, and Charlie, we all just like broke down our walls and talked about what it's like to navigate those difficult times in the wedding industry. And Kelly tells a story of she's rocking her newborn late at night. You know, when you're a mom and you have a newborn, you're up throughout the night, and there's a lot of midnight feedings, 2 in the morning feedings, 3 in the morning feedings, over and over and over again. You're really sleep deprived, but those moments are so precious too. And she remembers like she's feeding her baby in the middle of the night, sitting in the rocking chair, and she opens her phone because, I mean, what else are you supposed to do in the middle of the night but scroll your phone, I guess? And she opens an email, and it was like a bride asking when her film was going to be delivered. And Kelly says she like put the phone down and she said, "This just does not matter right now. Like it just doesn't matter." And that stuck with me so much. Like sometimes if things are not urgent, like allow them to not take an urgent place in your life, because real life comes first. Like none of us are going to be 85 years old and think like, "Oh man, I am so glad instead of doing this in my personal life, I took on that wedding." Like there's so many of those moments, like giving up opportunities for personal vacations instead of taking a wedding, or burning yourself out to the point where you are just like dead inside in order to take on more weddings, all of these things. So I think it's like a really great reminder that as much as we love the wedding industry, as much as we love business, like we do need to find balance between what's going on in our real, very real lives, and pursuing this career that we love so much. That's number one. Number two, it's empathy, always having empathy. We never know what everyone else is going through. I think on the wedding that I'm debriefing right now, if someone was mean to me, or like if someone like, I think I had a very short fuse and I could have been set off to like a spiraling cry fest if like people were not nice. And so always approaching people with kindness and empathy because you never know what's going on and like in their lives, and giving them grace when people may seem rude or may seem aloof or may seem like they didn't want to chat. Like I probably was not the chattiest that day, or striking up small talk or conversation with the photographer or the catering staff or whatever the way I maybe normally would. And so just understanding that the way people are acting has nothing to do with you. It probably has something to do in their personal lives. And I think it's always a great reminder. I feel like I'm like taking on the role of a mom right now. And I'm so sorry. Like I don't want to be like nagging. I just hope it's like a good reminder. I think sometimes we always think those things are like directed at us, when most of the time it's not directed at us at all. It's because of inner turmoil and like things going on behind the curtain in people's own lives. So very different debrief episode today. If you are still listening, um, thank you. And I'm sorry this one was not uplifting. It was really sad. And sitting here at the end of November, like it's been 6 weeks and still sad about it and still having to, like, I shot another wedding like a few weeks later, and navigating that, of course, as time goes by, it gets easier, but um we're we're here for you. If you need to talk to somebody because you don't have anyone close to you in the wedding industry, always feel free to send Kelly and myself a voice memo on Instagram or a simple message. Like, we'd be happy to chat. We'd be happy to be there for you. That's what this is all about. Like, we want you to succeed in your business. We want you to feel fulfilled financially and artistically, but we also want to make sure it is not at the expense of your sanity and your emotional health. We want to make sure that's handled and in a good place as well. So thank you for hanging out with me. Next week, it'll be more positive on the debrief, just to kind of give you a view of what's ahead. Next week, Kelly had a wedding in Texas. So we're going to talk about that one. The following week, I had a really big wedding in Carmel that came very last minute, and that was a lot of fun. Lots of logistical challenges to be faced with that one and navigating kind of interpersonal things. And so that will be a really fun one. And then in 3 weeks, Kelly will close out our debrief series with debriefing this fam trip that she just did in Hawaii, which is really cool. We've had a lot of questions come in about that one. And so hold on, it's coming in a full like podcast format. So much more than we can simply answer in a DM. So stay tuned for that one. Wishing you all a safe and fun and warm Thanksgiving this week for those of you who are in the US. For those outside of the US, I hope you also have an amazing week as well, even though it's not Thanksgiving for you. But we will see you next week on the podcast. Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.